Hari Om. Good evening, everybody. Let's begin our day 6 today of Kindle Life. And as usual, let's begin our session with prayers.
समस्त जन कल्याणी निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः ॐ शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. The mind and the intellect are the subtle equipment. Mind, the seat of emotions. Intellect, the seat of discrimination. When these two merge and act perfectly in timing, in agreement, the consummation is complete. Let us take this Kindle Life book reading further.
Last time, we had stopped at chapter 9, although we had completed reading it, but we had now pointed out some of the word meanings, which I think it's nice to clarify. So let's do that first. Chapter 9, the path of perfection, some of the word meanings. Suzerainty is sovereign or ruling at that time. Inherent, a characteristic attribute, and innate means inborn. Exigencies is urgent demand. Emanating, spreading out from, and permeating is pervading all. The things to keep in mind in chapter 9 were, as long as our inner equipment is healthy and strong, which Jagdish just spoke about, the mind and the intellect, disturbances will not destabilize us. Another important point here in chapter 9 was, what are vasanas? The term vasana was introduced first here. Inherent and innate tendencies or inclinations which make a man or make the person he is or she is are vasanas. So, inherent and innate tendencies are vasanas. These vasanas can be purified and reformed, thus making our inner equipment, that is mind and intellect, well tuned to face any challenges.
Purify and reform. Chitta Shuddhi, Chitta Ekagrata.
This is a terminology we use quite often. Chitta Shuddhi and Chitta Ekagrata. That means simply purification of the mind and clarity of thought. These are all the exercises that we will be doing later on. Gurudev explains to us in order to get these two states of minds, that is mind purification and clarity of thought. Now let us continue ahead today with, on our day 6 of Kindle Life, with chapter 10, the mechanism of action. In the mechanism of human action, the propelling force behind our desires, thoughts, and actions originates from our innate inclinations and tendencies called by the term vasanas. Though our activities appear to be defined by our tendencies, man has the unique capacity which is denied to all other living creatures, to exercise this self-effort in choosing his actions. By a persistent and prolonged application of this great faculty, every human being can erase his inherent tendencies and reach the pinnacle of perfection. An analysis of the genesis of our action provides an interesting study of human system. Every action perpetrated is the fulfillment and culmination of a desire in an individual, while his desire is the gross manifestation of the subtle tendencies in him. Let me read the sentence again. Please, let's go carefully with this. Every action perpetrated is the fulfillment and culmination of a desire in an individual, while his desire is the gross manifestation of the subtle tendencies in him. Thus, when the nature of his tendencies is to speculate and gamble, he will entertain a desire to do so. The desire in the medium of such tendencies soon crystallizes in the form of a thought. The thought helplessly draws him to gambling houses or such other fields where his particular desire could be entertained. Man's tendencies or vasanas are the prime mover of all his desires and action. As long as they last, desires keep springing up in his bosom and create mental agitation and discontentment with life as such. Vasanas in Sanskrit mean fragrance. Each individual has vasanas, distinct and peculiar to him, and they constitute and define his individuality. In other words, an individual is nothing but a substantial form of his vasanas. The heterogeneous pattern of human beings is explained by the variety and differences in the texture of vasanas composing them. However, when man gets rid of his vasanas, he transcends mental agitation and attains a divine status. This idea is beautifully symbolized in the lighting of camphor before an idol. Camphor is nothing but fragrance consolidated, since a pure sample of it on exposure spontaneously sublimates and fills the atmosphere with its fragrance. Camphor is lit before a deity, and as it burns away, we get the vision of the Lord. So too, as our vasanas are eradicated, the divinity within us is unfolded and we begin to experience our inner divine nature. From the study of origin of action, it appears as though one is left with no choice but to act as per one's own tendencies. This is not true in the case of human beings. Animals are, however, victimized by their tendencies and they have no option. For instance, a tiger has a tendency to kill, and consequently his desires, thoughts and actions are barreled in that direction. He has little discretion to live apart from his ferocity and destructive nature. Desires and thoughts spring forth from one's vasanas just as sounds emanate from etchings in a gramophone record. But man, the sovereign of all creations, possesses a singular capacity to stand apart from the surging desires and feelings and exercise his self-effort in choosing the right action. When this great faculty is consistently applied in the direction indicated by the scriptures, he successfully eradicates his vasanas and emerges out in his infinite nature. Thus, looking back into our past, we are helpless victims of our past actions, but looking ahead of us, we become the architects of our own future. Humans as we are, let us never look back for a moment, but dynamically march forward, creating a glorious future of magnificent achievements by rightly exercising the independent self-effort which is man's prerogative. Beautiful chapter, as usual, which explains so many beautiful thoughts and feelings. I'm going to allow Jagdish to explain, but before we go there, let me quickly just go through the word meanings.
Yeah.
Chapter 10, the mechanism of action. Genesis means the origin or the very root of something. Heterogeneous is diverse or varied. A man is heterogeneous. Barreled. Barreled is to move very fast in a particular direction with a particular intent. So we barreled forward. It means in that sense. One particular thing I thought that we should keep in mind always. Looking back into our past, we are helpless victims of our past actions. But looking ahead of us, we become the architects of our own future. Jagdish, will you explain some of the other points in this chapter?
Like Rashi has just said, past and future. But between the past and future is the present. We can change our future by acting the right way, the right manner in the present.
Choosing the right path.
And this choice is purely the prerogative of man. A human being has this option that he can either choose this or choose that, unlike any other creature. So, how incredibly unique human beings are. Human beings are not animals.
That's right. So we know, we've already seen this earlier about Shreyas and Prayas.
Exactly.
So when we make right choices in the present, we are already shaping our future. Let's continue with this thought process and come to chapter number 11, which is an absolutely beautiful chapter, which explains to us the law of karma. Man's diverse tendencies or vasanas are the prime movers of all his desires and actions. As long as vasanas exist, desires continuously spring forth in his bosom and create mental agitation and discomfort, resulting in actions. These actions in turn leave imprints in our personality as vasanas, which influence and propel our future actions. This cycle is based on a law called law of karma, which is one of the significant contributions of the philosophy of Vedānta to humanity. It is a law based on pure scientific reasoning covering the past, the present, and the future, and it is as much applicable to mankind and life as any other law of nature. Many hasty readers have misunderstood the law of karma as a mere law of destiny and condemned it as a pessimistic and ineffectual theory dealing only with one's past experiences in life. The following analysis of it should clear the cobwebs of misunderstanding and reveal its original beauty and strength. Man is what he is because of his past actions. If his experiences from the time of birth to the present moment are pure and noble, he is today a man of chastity and dignity. If, on the contrary, they are vicious and immoral, he takes to those qualities. In short, he is a product or an effect of his own past actions or karma. This is the principle of destiny. It may be concluded from this that man is a mere victim of his past actions over which he has no control. It then becomes an inert philosophy concerning the dead past, which is incompatible with the modern scientific and progressive mind. On the other hand, the law of karma is a vital force in the Vedānta philosophy, which enables a man to be spirited and dynamic and to reach the goal of human existence. Destiny or prarabdha is the product or the effect of the past, and it forms one aspect of the law of karma. Man is in a way influenced by his destiny, since his present status is caused by the past. But at the same time, he is gifted with the capacity to choose his present action, which is called self-effort or purushartha. All along his life, he has been exercising this power gifted to him, and an aggregate of all these past self-efforts has determined his present destiny. In other words, the sum total of all past purushartha will be equal to his present prarabdha. What one meets in life is destiny, and how one meets it is self-effort. The law of karma goes a step ahead of the law of destiny and states that the future lies in the control of man, since he has the capacity to change it by regulating his self-efforts from now on. Thus, if he had chosen a path of pleasant prayers in the past, no doubt he has had to suffer the consequences of it at this moment. But his self-effort today may be exercised in choosing the path of good, Shreyas, which combines with the past and makes his future better than his present. The future, therefore, is a continuity of the past, modified in the present. The freedom to modify the past and to create a future, either for the better or for the worse, is purushartha or self-effort.
May I request you to read this entire para once again?
Why don't you read it?
Is it?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Let's listen to Jagdish, the paragraph again. Let's make it very clear in our mind what purushartha and prarabdha is and how it affects our past, our present, and our future.
The law of karma goes a step ahead of the law of destiny and states that the future lies in control of the man, since he has the capacity to change it by regulating his self-effort from now on, in the present, now on. Thus, if he had chosen the path of pleasant prayers in the past, no doubt he has to suffer the consequences of it at this moment. This moment is present. But his self-effort today may be exercised in choosing the path of good, the Shreyas, which combines with the past, his prayers combined with the Shreyas now, and makes his future better than his present. This so beautifully Gurudev has said, the future therefore is a continuity of the past modified in the present. The freedom to modify the past. To modify the past means what? What prayas was, now we can make it Shreyas. And to create a future, either for the better or for worse, is purushartha or self-effort.
That's it.
Please go ahead.
Though man enjoys freedom to choose his action, the effect of his action is influenced by the past. In other words, his self-effort, when exercised, mixes with his destiny to bring about an effect resultant of their combination. The idea is better understood with the following example. The rate of flow of water in a river is 2 miles an hour. A log of wood floating on the water will also move at the same speed as the water in the river. If now the log is fitted with a motor with an independent speed of 10 miles per hour, its speed, in effect, be conditioned by the flow of the river. Its independent speed is no doubt 10 miles an hour, but when it is directed downstream, it registers 12 miles an hour, and when diverted upstream, the speed is reduced to 8. Similarly, man possesses the faculty of independent movement, which is found lacking in the animal and plant kingdom. In effect, in life, however, its effect in life, however, is modified by the play of his destiny upon it. Looking back at the past, man is the product of it, but looking into the future, man is the producer. At the present moment, he is the product cum producer. That is, he is the son of his father and a father of his son as well, at one and the same time. The law of destiny only refers to his past and makes him a victim of it, while the law of karma infuses the spirit of creation by focusing his attention on the future. It explains at the same time the limitations of self-effort, lest he should get discouraged by the effects produced. Thus, the law of karma is governed by the scientific theory of cause and effect. Extending the law further, the rishis declared that it would be unscientific and illogical to confine the theory to the present life only. The effects experienced in the present life must have had their causes in the past lives, and the causes created in the present shall grow into the effects in the future. The law of karma applies not only to an individual, but to a community, society, or a nation as well. Again, its application is not restricted to the present lives, but embraces those of the past and the future. This law enables one to view life in its entirety, which provides a meaning, a purpose, and a rhythm to existence. To understand life without applying the law of karma is like seeing a life-size picture with eyes fixed at a distance of few inches from the canvas. The totality of the vision is lost, and one develops a narrow, constricted view of life. The law of karma is an important limb of religion. Religion, therefore, is not a mere mechanical worship, but a scientific formula for the right living. By adhering to it, man develops himself and enjoys a better and more purposeful life. Such a beautiful chapter. It explains so many questions of our mind which we normally have. As to, I'm doing so many good things, but things which are not so nice are happening with me. Why is that so? We realize that sometimes even the question comes, I'm seeing this person, this neighbor of mine, who's such a rascal, but he lives so happily and so comfortably, and how is that possible? So many of these kind of questions as to what is happening to you today. And the beauty of it is that it explains so nicely that how you can change and modify your future for the better. So there is such positivity and goodness to look forward to despite your past actions, which you cannot change, which you cannot do anything about. So this is a great, great insight into what our lives are at present. Also, two or three other points which were fantastic over here. One of them being that it is not applicable to you alone. It can be applicable to a community, to a nation. And what better time to understand this phenomena which is going on in the whole world? The nature is taking a toll on the whole of Earth. This COVID has come right now, which is destroying so many lives and has completely changed the way we live in the whole world, in the entire world. Although, as you know, politically also we are having so many problems over here.
Past actions of total.
So totality. So obviously it is like if you sow the seeds earlier, you are going to get the fruits in that manner. So as such, the cause and effect theory, according to a scientific mind, if you have created so many problems in the past unthinkingly and polluted our whole earth, so naturally the effects are coming now for us to bear. And like it is explained in the law of karma, even now it is not too late. If we take the correct actions, we will create a better future. We have seen in 3 months of shutdown how much the nature has recovered. So, what our rishis and scientists have said for thousands of years, which are a part of our religious texts, our scriptures taught to us, it is so much more proved today that it is absolutely correct and real. And what a scientific manner in which to do. Yes, Jagdish?
Yeah, and in this book, it is not just we are speaking of a problem and then a solution. Like for modern people, they say, okay, there is a trouble, and there is a troubleshoot. If there is a problem, do this and this will be solving it. Nobody explains how. What is the relationship? Kindle life, our Shastras, they explain to us how also. It not only points out to the problem, it also gives us the solution, but also points out the path, the how, the why these things are and how they can be solved.
Okay. So I'm sure we all have enjoyed reading this book. Let us quickly see if there are any word meanings for chapter 11. No, I did not find any.
I would like to first put the question to this karma only, the word karma as I have pointed out.
I see.
Yeah, so there is so much of misunderstanding about the word karma.
Oh, yeah, I know. It is used in very, very weird manners, yes.
I think it is the second most popular Hindu word used in the universe after the word yoga.
Yes, and then nirvana also.
Nirvana probably comes third.
Yes.
Karma, as they say. So, about the karma.
Yeah. Is there any particular thing you wanted to say?
The same thing what we have explained, I'll explain. Okay. So, when we say karma, it is not just blindly doing any action.
Mm-hmm.
Our karma is not just blind action. Over here, the law of karma has two parts. The first part being what we have. We call it prarabdha. And the second, most important, what we do, the self-effort, which is called as purushartha. We have to understand when these two aspects come together, then your karma will create another future for you. Therefore, the law of karma is not just law of destiny. It is destiny along with your self-effort propelling towards your future.
Yes, there was just one point that I also wanted to elaborate and explain. When Gurudev says that we can change our past, what it means is, you read the chapter carefully, you will come across it once again, might be slightly confusing for some of you, is that when we change, we can change our past. If I do a particular action continuously, the result of that action will be the same. If I keep repeating the same action in the same fashion, my result will also going to be the same. So, in my past, I have got my past because at some time it was also the future. So, due to some actions that I have done, the results of those actions came to me in my past. Now, past passed away, and now I'm in my present. So, in the present, I cannot literally change my past, but I can change the actions that I do in my present so that they are not the same as the actions which have caused my past. If my past was not so good, obviously there were certain actions of which the results were also not good, which I have done. So knowing that my past was not good, in my present, I can choose to do the correct or good actions and improve my future. So whatever the prarabdha was or is, we can change it in the future by our purushartha. So this is a beautiful ending to our chapter 11 today. And even if there are any confusions or questions, remember, you can always write in to us, ask us, and we will discuss them on our weekly Saturday sessions. So let's end today's prayer with today's session with a beautiful prayer once again.
Asato ma satgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityormamrutam gamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Hari
Hari
Om.
Om Shri Guru Hari Om to all.